tardy timekeeping this evening, but welcome to Talking Teeth Thursday. I tried to simplify the technology this evening, and of course, you know, me being me, it never works. Where's a 10-year-old when you want one? Anyway, what are we talking about this evening? We're going to talk about probably the most significant piece of apparatus that you could possibly have in your oral hygiene armamentarium. Now there's a good word for you, isn't it? Basically your chalks, okay? Basically the most significant thing in your oral care toolkit. And it also begins with tea. And with any luck, use it both last thing at night before you go to bed and in the morning, or at least one other time in the day. You usually pair it with something often minty, but not solely minty. Some people prefer no flavour. It may have foam or no foam, but often it's paired with that. And its purpose is to disrupt the plant biofilm that gathers around your teeth. So the sticky gel-like stuff that gathers around the gum margins and in between your teeth on the crinkly bits, basically in all those awkward to reach bits. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the toothbrush. Power or manual, we're going to talk about toothbrushes this evening. Now, if this is the first time you have been here, you're very welcome. You will usually find me loitering in this space around this time on a Thursday evening. Sometimes a bit earlier, sometimes a little later, sometimes at a completely different time, of which I usually give you some notice. So anyway, we are going to talk about the toothbrush. It is that thing that we use, and you know, if you want to go back to the history of a toothbrush, it's really actually quite fascinating, because of course it's thousands of years old. I mean, toothbrushes, obviously they aren't plastic with nylon bristles as they are now. They certainly didn't have power back in the day, but there were ancient tooth cleaning tools, and the earliest of those go back as far as the ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, Babylonians, Sumerians. You're talking about 3,500 BC. So, you know, they're nothing new, and chew sticks was basically what they were, and they were made of small twigs who they basically chewed the end to fray the end. So in other words, they created bristles. And then they chewed those and they rubbed them against the teeth and gums, and the fibres on the end of those, because they were all splayed out. And I mean, if you think of the modern variation of a single tufted brush, you know, imagine this as an ancient chew stick, and you're sort of getting the drift. And if you haven't read my blog post on single tufted brushing, solo toothbrushing, go look at it and you'll see exactly what I mean. So they weren't the only ones. Chinese Tang Dynasty, they had variation of toothbrushes. More recent times we sort of had bristles developed in Europe, and those sort of came across from China around late 17th century. So again, not quite yesterday or the day before. Mind you, having said that, my kids think I went to school with Noah on a dinosaur. So, you know, I might just have been about around that time. But the Europeans really started to modify toothbrushes, and they used horsehair bristles, which were softer than the previous hog hair bristles. And it's one of the reasons that I often talk about natural bristle brushes. And one of the problems with natural bristles, whether it be hog's hair or horsehair, was that each individual bristle was a different texture. It was a different diameter, possibly a slightly different length. So it was really hard to get a uniform texture. But having said that, did the job. They had very posh handles of wood and carvery, some often exquisitely carved. And if you ever get a chance to be around the General Dental Council on Wimpole Street, or is it the BDA, I'll need to go up and look it up, for their museum. It's actually the BDA museum, and they have a range of ancient toothbrushes. Absolutely fascinating, as well as some historical pieces of dental equipment. Not so fascinating, and it may give you a bit of the old chills, so maybe just skip that bit. But you know, the modern toothbrush was very much an 18th century sort of development, really, when bristles started to be used routinely, and it was actually around just before 1800s, 1780s-ish, that William Addis, now you might recognise that name of Addis in relation to toothbrushes and other plastic personal care products, but Addis actually developed what is the basis for the modern toothbrush these days, and believe it or not, he did it from a prison cell, which is slightly disturbing. But what he did was he attached toothbrush bristles to an animal bone handle, and then what he did was he basically commercialised the invention when he got out of prison, and that's where the popularity of what we sort of more or less know as our modern toothbrush. I mean, it had a handle, it had bristles on the head, and it was used to disrupt and clean the teeth. Now, we know an awful lot more now about plaque and the biofilm that develops in the teeth, because even when I was a student, we didn't talk about biofilm. Biofilm's a relatively recent term, but if you think, I often describe biofilm, if you think of that sort of slime that gathers on the inside of a vase, vase or vase when you've had flowers in it and there's water, then you get that green slime. And those of you who end up cleaning those vases or vases know how difficult that is to actually break up and remove. So that is the biofilm that forms on the surface of your teeth, and it likes to be in little sheltered areas. So it gathers around the gum lines, it gathers on the biting surfaces, even better if it's a long-standing tooth without anything in opposition, gathers in between your teeth. Now, that biofilm is a gel-like basis that gives home to the bacteria that live in our mouth. And if you were here last week, I was talking about the oral microbiome and about the hundreds of bacteria that live in your mouth, and there's good ones and there's bad ones, but they make their home in that biofilm. Now, what you want to do with your toothbrush is break up that biofilm, because if that biofilm isn't stable enough and thick enough, the bacteria has nowhere to loiter. It's got nowhere to gather around its friends. It's grow up, it matures, triggers inflammation, and basically causes you trouble. So I often say, if you think about bacteria in your mouth as children, babies, you put them in one place, they don't get up to too much mischief. You lift them and you sort them out. So when they're bacteria very young, they're just settling into the biofilm, they're not going to cause you too much trouble. But as they mature, they invite their friends round. So, you might have a play date with other bugs in your mouth. And as they get older, they have parties in your mouth. If they get to teenagers, so they've been there a while, they start to manure, they're gathering their friends around. Even better, they are looking for opportunities to cause trouble. Think about kids left on a corner of a street or in a park, they're going to get up to mischief. So you think of the bacteria in that biofilm growing and evolving, inviting their mates out, and what they'll do is they will cause you trouble. The bad ones often get the upper hand from the good ones, and they can cause you inflammation. You throw sugar at them and they are getting high on the sugar, and they poop acid, and the acid starts to demineralize and break down your tooth surface. Okay, so the biofilm is really, really important. The tool that is most effective against that biofilm is your toothbrush. It maybe not seem very exciting. They don't need to be very exciting. They do not need to be all singing, all dancing, top of the range, you name it, you've got it, although as nice as these are. It's not so much what they are, it's much more important what you do with it. But that said, still think it's worth looking, and again, don't forget the single tuft, because it's a useful tool against the biofilm, because you can clean all your teeth with this. I say, you don't know, go look at the solo toothbrushing blog post. But anyway, let's look at a little bit more about what is the ideal toothbrush, because your toothbrush is the tool of choice for toothbrushing, for cleaning your teeth. And what you're trying to do when you're toothbrushing is to break up that plaque biofilm and deliver an ingredient around your tooth surfaces that is going to do you some good. And primarily that delivery thing that you're trying to deliver around your teeth is fluoride. And it's not just about its ability to remineralize the tooth surface and strengthen your teeth. Fluoride also has antibacterial properties, so it's beneficial for healthy teeth and gums. So as I say, you know, that's the main function of your toothpaste, is getting those active ingredients around your teeth. The method that you get it around your teeth is via your toothbrush when you are breaking up that biofilm. And the key is how you use this to get into all the nooks and crannies around your teeth. So let's look a little bit more about, you know, the actual toothbrushes. What's important when you're choosing a toothbrush? Are there hard and fast rules? A lot of people choose their toothbrush based on the colour, and that's very important, particularly if you're colour conscious or you're OCD or you have a very particular colour scheme. Sometimes it's just what's available. But you know, both manual and electric toothbrushes can be effective, okay? Electric toothbrushes are often thought as more efficient by removing more plaque because of their vibrating movements or their oscillating, rotating movements. So I have a sonic variation, I have an oscillating, rotating variation, there's another sonic variation. But again, it's not so much what you're using, but the way that you're using it. You do not need to go out and spend £300, £400, £500 in a toothbrush to effectively disrupt and remove that plaque biofilm. You just need to use what you've got effectively. And my biggest moan, as always, is most of us just don't spend enough time. Most of us spend somewhere between 37 and 45 seconds brushing our teeth. That's not a lot of time. There is a reason for the recommended 2 minutes. So 2 minutes allows you, if you spend at least 2 minutes brushing your teeth, you will clean every surface of all teeth and around the gum line, and you will spend approximately 1.5 seconds on each individual surface. Now, each individual surface means that you are cleaning the outside, you're cleaning the inside, you're cleaning the biting surface. That's 1.5 seconds here, 1.5 seconds here, and 1.5 seconds there. And what you're trying to do is get rid of that plaque biofilm that gathers just at the crevice at the neck of your teeth, where your teeth and your gum meet. It's just like a little cuff, and that's where the plaque biofilm gathers, and if it's left there, it will calcify and form tartar. Once it's calcified and formed tartar, you ain't getting it off with a toothbrush. That's a professional's job. But 1.5 seconds outside, inside, biting surface, okay? How long is 1.5 seconds? Time it. It's quite interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't rush with your toothbrush. Don't rush with your toothbrush. Don't rush with your toothbrush. The easiest way of doing it. Count to 5, move on to each surface. Now, you've got to use your toothbrush in a methodical manner, okay, so you don't miss anywhere. So if you are doing, school, kids are back to school, homework, you do not start at question number 4, then go back and do question number 1, then jump back and do number 9, and then go back and do number 2. You do it in the order it's presented. This is really important when you're brushing your teeth. Using this tool, you want to go all the way around the outside, all the way around the inside, all the biting surfaces. So, where's my big mouse? As opposed to my personal big mouse. So, what you want to do is go all the way around the outside, all the way around, come back around the inside, and in behind these front teeth, use your toothbrush the long, narrow way. Feel the toothbrush at the gum line so you can feel it right the way around to the back, then the biting surfaces. And then you've got to do it all again on the bottom. The outside, the inside, the biting surfaces. Now, a little bit more about this toothbrush. Okay, so size actually does matter. If your mouth is this size, it's probably quite sensible to have a toothbrush this size. If your mouth is the size of mine, I'm quite capable of brushing my teeth with a kid's toothbrush. And often I do, actually, particularly at night, I will often use a kid's manual toothbrush, and I will sit watching my hobby last thing at night is jumping across the new channels. I'll go from press preview to Newslight to one of the American channels and back up and down. And while I am doing that, I will be sitting with my toothbrush. Now, note the way I hold my toothbrush at night, okay? I don't hold it in a palm grasp like this. I hold it like a pen, and that gives me a lot more control over it. Okay, so I can feel where the toothbrush bristles are right at the gum margin. And what you've got to do with the manual toothbrush is make the bristles move. With a powered toothbrush, all you have to do is press the button and the bristles move for you. The power is in there, and that's why you don't actually need to move an electric toothbrush. You just need to set it in place and let the bristles do the work for you, because the power is making them move for you. So, yep, let me turn this off. Right, so size of the toothbrush has got to be able to fit comfortably in your mouth, and it needs to allow you to reach every area of your mouth. That means right at the very back of your mouth. If you've got a gag reflex, a really small toothbrush head can be really useful. Also, if you've got a gag reflex, instead of trying to brush your teeth with your head forward like this, either keep it parallel. The one thing you don't want to do is tip your head back. Keep it parallel. Put the finger on your lip here, on your chin here, and press. You've got an acupressure point there, and that can be really useful, particularly if you're trying to clean down on the inside of those back teeth. A single tufted brush, really useful again to get in around those very back teeth. So, brush head size is really, really important. What else do you need to know? You don't have a toothbrush for life. It's not a bit like getting a dog for Christmas. A toothbrush is going to last you only a finite amount of time, and I think everybody's becoming much more aware of the amount of plastic we throw out. And there's no doubt the most hygienic material is plastic, and that's why the bristles, even on the recyclable toothbrushes like bamboo toothbrushes, the bristles are still made of nylon, because they're still the most effective. And if you're going to recycle that, you need to take that head off. But you want a toothbrush head that's going to fit in and get round all those nooks and crannies in your teeth, but it's not going to last you forever. Now, rule of thumb is around 3 months, and that doesn't matter whether it's a manual toothbrush, whether it's a powered toothbrush, or obviously you're only changing the head in the powered toothbrush. If my rule of thumb always is, if the bristles splay out, I can find you one, in best Blue Peter fashion, when your bristles get splayed out like this, it is not going to be doing you any good. Now, you can do a couple of things to make it, keep its shape a bit longer. So that means when you finish brushing, rinse it underneath the tap, shake the water out of it, knit the bristles together, and that helps keeps its shape and store it upright, out of contact with other people's toothbrushes, because that's how bacteria get transferred and move, particularly if you've got a cold or a flu or something. That's how things get spread. So my best tip about using your toothbrush is use it dry. And again, that also is going to come in when I mention a little bit about how hard your toothbrush should be. And I often hear people who go, oh, it was too soft, I wanted a harder toothbrush. You can, if you use a hard toothbrush in combination with an abrasive toothpaste, or worse still, a tooth powder, you are going to erode the tooth surface. You're going to actually wear, it's a bit like putting emery or sandpaper on your teeth and rubbing it. It's going to be way too abrasive, because it's the pressure of you brushing plus the abrasive that you're using, then you're going to actually start to wear the tooth surface. So you need to be really careful of that, particularly if you've got recession, because if you've got recession, the root surface is exposed is much softer. It's made of dentine, it's much softer than the crown of your tooth, and it will wear much more rapidly because it is softer. So keep that in mind. Toothbrush bristles, once they have started to splay out, they need to be replaced. As I say, the recommendation is usually about 3 to 4 months. I always say once the bristles splayed out. Some people can get longer than that, other people will get shorter than that. So it's always good to have one to use and one ready when you're up for changing it. Really, really important, because worn bristles just don't work as effectively at cleaning and breaking up that plaque biofilm as a new toothbrush or bristles that are actually fit for purpose. You don't want to be scrubbing, as I say. You want to certainly take your time when you're using toothbrushes. You need to clean your tongue as well. You can clean your tongue with a toothbrush. A lot of people don't realise that. You can use a tongue scraper, or you can use a toothbrush. If you're using your toothbrush to clean your tongue, do it from the back forward. That way, think like JCB, how a digger works. That's the easiest way of doing that. And as I say, always make sure that you're actually starting off with your toothbrush dry. So put pea-sized blob of toothpaste on, unless you've been told differently for whatever reason, because there are occasions that you might need to use more depending on what you're using. Pea-sized blob of toothpaste on a dry toothbrush. You want to then spread it all around your toothpaste. There's a bit of toothpaste everywhere. Then off you go. Be really systematic and methodical in how you brush it. You're brushing every surface of all teeth and you're not missing anywhere. So, a little bit more about actual toothbrushes. Most toothbrushes have a handle. Well, they all have a handle. Duh. They have a shank. They have a head. And on that head are the bristles, which are a certain width. So you'll find they are in rows, little rows, and they will be sometimes of an equal trim height, so it may be evenly trimmed like this, but it may not be. It may have a little pointy end like that. It may have, oh, let me find something really exotic. There we go. There is one that has a lot of different length bristles, so they're tapered bristles. This is my veritable selection of toothbrushes, and this, I hate to admit this, but this is only some of them. I have all the toothbrushes. Some of these go back, I hate to say to the dark ages, but yeah, some of them have been around a very long time. Oh, that's not the one I was looking for. This one. This was a very old Colgate Total toothbrush. Now look at the way the toothbrush bristles are on that. All uneven length, and the theory was that helped get round the different nooks and crannies around your teeth. And as I say, it's not necessarily what you're using, but how you're using it. Oh, here's a classic. Look at the size of that bad boy. Now, that's nearly on the level of cleaning this boy's teeth. It was a very big brush, and I don't know that I have ever come across anybody whose mouth I have looked at and said, this is the size of brush you need. Our mouths are not that big. Our teeth are quite small, and you know, you want to use things that actually are going to reach all those surfaces. But you can just see that I have a lot of options in the way of toothbrushes to choose from. So you've got the handle, you've got the shank, you've got that brushing head, and you've got then that plane of the bristles. Are they tapered? Are they all trimmed evenly? Then you get variations on how those bristles are actually finished. You know, they might be finished at an angle, they might be round head, round tipped bristles. Round ended bristles is how the professionals like to describe them. So, you know, the classic sort of hygienist favourite is, this is the Sensodyne 3.5. Toothbrush is handle about the length that you can fit in the palm of your hand. Small head of about 1 inch. Evenly trimmed bristles, round ended bristles. And that was sort of classically what, you know, was the recommended manual toothbrush. Doesn't mean it's the only thing that can clean teeth, because it's not. It's very much what it does in your hand. Now, I think what's important with this is not the easiest handle to hold on to. If I had arthritis, or if I had other grips with my hand, I remember when I broke my wrist, I had a big plaster here. It was really difficult to grip. And so what are you going to have that's going to make that really skinny handle easier for somebody who has a grip problem? There are a number of different options. One of them, this is just made with putty now. An old colleague of mine made this for me, and it's a bit like a bicycle grip. And you just literally put the toothbrush in there. I'm trying to think that's the brush, and off you go. But this is much easier, so much easier to hold. You have got the likes of the fat boy toothbrush. So again, much easier and more comfortable to hold. And the great thing about this picture toothbrush is the fact that you can replace the heads, and this actually, you can put single tufted brushes and things on it. So these are really good if you've got a grip problem. You can get things, best Blue Peter fashion, you can get things like this that slide on, and again, just give it a little bit. But you know something, you can get really creative with this, because I have used squash balls, I have used just tape, a lot of tape around there just to bulk that out, bit of gauze around it, and then put lots of tape around, and that just bulks the handle out. So the grasp of your toothbrush is really, really important. And I say, but don't limit yourself to only holding your toothbrush in what we call a palm grasp. I had a post on how long ago about how do you hold your toothbrush. It doesn't really matter how you hold your toothbrush, it's more important what you do with it. And I have one, I don't know if I've got an elastic. Typical, I never have what I need. I'm just going to look and see if I've got an elastic band, so bear with me 1 minute. Oh, I do. Right. So this is something that I have used in the past to help. I've just put the toothbrush like this and put that round the end. Put my hand on, put that over the end. That toothbrush is not the elastic band's not that long, but you know something, is that going to help me brush when I can't grasp it? Absolutely. It's a very simple, easy to use way of actually brushing if you've got poor grasp. And it's cheap, doesn't cost very much, you know, elastic bands usually post something around it. So there are lots of options that are available to actually help you hold a toothbrush. I could go in the numbers about how long the handle should be and how big the head should be. What you want is a small head, about just over an inch. I think, how much is it? About 3 odd centimeters. And you might tell my age now, that actually allows you to actually access the very back of your mouth. You want a handle that you can actually manipulate and maneuver. It's easy to grip. You know, there's some of these, I mean, if you look around, I mean, it's quite a nice handle again, just the way the grip is, and there's a little bit of give in this. But there's plenty there. You want it to be light enough that you can hold. And this is one of my issues I have with powered toothbrushes. They can be incredibly heavy to hold for 2 minutes. So what you're looking to do with the power toothbrush is set it on place where the gum and the tooth meet and let the power do the work, move the bristles for you. But you really need to hold your arm and your hand up. Now, holding your arm like this for 2 minutes is actually quite hard work. So that's where I always say weight can be a deciding factor in your choice. And it's not the sort of thing you can actually tell from the box. So I have actually weighed them. This is one of the reasons I love this Surrey toothbrush. It is light. You don't have to hold it in palm grasp. You can hold it in a pen grasp like this and brush with an electric toothbrush to manipulate it. I would struggle without holding this way down here to hold this in a pen grasp. You know, it's quite difficult. Even when I made the Cure Pox, yeah, I think it's so struggle to hold it like that and then turn it around to get it around the other way. But what you want to do is make sure with your toothbrush that you're covering every single surface. Now, most of us use our toothbrush the same way every time we brush. So we always start in the same place, we always end in the same place. So what you want to try and do is make sure you're giving equal opportunity with your toothbrush to all your teeth. So in other words, you spend the same amount of time on each tooth surface. One way of doing that is starting in a different place every time. Now, that's all right if you get somewhere you can say, you know, you can put a cross in the mirror or something to mark where you started every time you brush. But then, you know, you're talking 4 brushings maybe to reach every surface. So I always say just spend at least 2 minutes cleaning. Start at the very back. And one of the things about starting at the back is when you put your toothbrush in, see that here? There's not a lot of room when your mouth is wide open. These muscles in your cheek are quite taut. When you relax and close your mouth, the muscles relaxed, and it's much more room back there. So when you want to put your toothbrush in, then you want to close your mouth. That way you can get the toothbrush actually almost round the back of that very back tooth. So if you're starting at the top, put it in, close your mouth, and then you can get right around that very back tooth. And then you're going to move, and all I'm doing is you're wiggling the bristles. You are not scrubbing the floor. So it's attention to detail. It's like driving a car. Lots of small movements get you there, rather than actually one straight turn of the wheel to get round. You sort of want to gradually do it. So you want lots of small movements. So the movement of your bristles with your toothbrush, let me get a different brush here. You just want to vibrate the bristles. You're not scrubbing, you're literally vibrating them. You're making the bristles actually stay in contact with the tooth, but you're wiggling them. You're not scrubbing the floor, you're not cleaning the hearth. What you're doing is actually trying to disrupt that biofilm. And think of it the same way you would rub out pencil on a piece of paper. Now again, you need to be a certain age. Does anybody use pencils and rubbers anymore? But if you try to rub hard to rub out a pencil mark on a piece of paper, you're going to tear the paper. You can do exactly the same thing by rubbing gently and actually not damage the actual piece of paper. So that's a really useful one. Just gently, enough pressure for those bristles to spread into that gum crevice. So let me find a different model. Let me show you what I mean here. So what you want to do is you want to put the toothbrush bristles on at the gum, where the gum and the tooth meet, and you just want to vibrate them round and round. Some people will say round and round, but a slight vibration just to get in at that gum. And you can see to a certain extent that it will go as far as it can in between there, but what you're trying to do is vibrate the bristle. You're not scrubbing the floor, it's just very gentle vibrations. Count to 5, move on to the next surface. It takes time, and to use this tool correctly you need to watch what you're doing so you don't miss anywhere. Really, really important to do that. Now, we all have our preference of shape with the handle, so it's easy to grip. It's not going to be rotating while you're brushing. It's not sharp, so it's not going to stick into you. And it's lightweight and it's strong, and it's going to actually do the job properly for you. Brush head needs to be small to reach again. Generally speaking, we talk about straight trim bristles, but you know there is evidence that crisscross bristles also actually can be really effective. It's not so much what you've got in your hand, it's more important about what you're actually doing with that tool. So if you think of your toothbrush as the tool that aids you breaking up and removing that plaque biofilm, rather than it does it for you, you make it do the work for you. You know, you can park a car, but unless you get in the car and drive it, it's not going to go anywhere. So your car is a tool, a means to getting you from A to B. It's a means to an end. Your toothbrush is a means to get you a healthy smile, clean teeth and healthy smile. So think of it that way. As I say, you know, you want something that is going to be effective without doing any damage. And beyond that, I always say I don't really care if you clean your teeth through your ears down your nose. It doesn't really matter, as long as you're disrupting that plaque biofilm effectively enough and regularly enough without doing any damage to either the hard tissues, so i.e. your teeth, or the soft tissues, so your gums, your cheeks, your tongue, to keep your mouth healthy. So that's what's really, really important. And it's one of the reasons we've moved from those hog and wild boar hair bristles, which had no uniformity. Their texture was all various. It depended which animal it came from. It depended what time of the year, you know, the bristles were taken from them, you know, to synthetic plastic, nylon primarily materials, which are uniform. The toothbrushes these days are designed by computers. They're built by robots. When it says it's soft to medium when it comes out of the packet, that's what it should be. The problem is it's not equal across all brands. It's a bit like the interdental brushes. Not all red interdental brushes are the same size. So you do need to do a little bit of trial and error and practice for yourself. Soft bristles will clean your teeth perfectly adequate, but soft and medium, you know, either of those, you definitely do not want to go down that hard, really hard bristles. You know, stiffness of the bristles depends on the diameter, how thick the bristle is, and the length of the actual bristles, and they tend to be, as I say, soft, medium, hard. You're looking for a soft or medium toothbrush. You do not want to be going hard, but again, the difficulty is it's not consistent across manufacturers, just to confuse us all. So what you're looking for is a handle you can hold, okay, soft to medium bristles, trimmed evenly or in a plane that's going to reach those nooks and crannies, with a head small enough that it can reach all surfaces and the gum line right the way around your mouth. And those are the things that you are really looking for. Power toothbrushes versus manual toothbrush. What do we know? Right, scientific evidence tells us that a rechargeable powered toothbrush will remove more plaque than a manual toothbrush in the same hands. So me cleaning with this versus me cleaning with this will disrupt more plaque biofilm. That does not mean that I cannot do a perfectly good job with this, because I do. It's a fact, it's just that this is slightly less effort. It doesn't do it faster, because you still need to spend the time on each surface. What it does is it takes the effort of you moving the bristles. As I say, it doesn't matter whether it's an oscillating, rotating one, what shape the head is. The power makes the bristles move. Manual toothbrush, you've got to make those bristles move, and that's why it's so important that you pick something that you like, something you find easy to use, and it's effective. One of the best ways of saying is that the tool of your choice actually effective is checking up on your toothbrush and how effective have you been. So you know, that's where something, a disclosing aid comes in, and you can use a food dye at home. Just put some Vaseline, something like that, on your lips, or get a disclosing tablet after you've brushed, chew it up, have a rinse, look and see where have you missed. And the difficult places when you're brushing are classically in behind your lower front teeth. So this is where a little mirror like this is really useful. So when you're cleaning in behind these lower front teeth, use your toothbrush the long narrow way. It may not fit that way, so tip your toothbrush down like this and make sure you feel the bristles at the gum margin. And that goes wherever you're brushing. What you want to do is feel the bristles engaging into that little crevice at the neck of your teeth. If I think of taking a nail brush and cleaning underneath my nails, I can feel the bristles just getting in underneath those nails to clean. You think if you've been down the garden or you've been doing a muddy job, you've got mud underneath your nails, you have to use the nail brush, you have to put a bit of pressure on there. Likewise with your toothbrush, you need to put a little bit of pressure on and then make the bristles move to clean. If you're still not sure what I'm talking about, try dry toothbrushing. Totally dry toothbrush, don't put anything on it. What I want you to do, take your toothbrush, clean 2 or 3 surfaces. So clean the outside, clean the inside, biting surface, and then run your tongue around your teeth. You should be able to feel the surfaces that you have cleaned. And if you can't, go back and have a think about, are you watching, are the toothbrush bristles right up at the gum margin? And I say you don't need to have a hard toothbrush to feel that clean. Soft toothbrush will do it perfectly effectively. It's just taking the time to clean every surface of all teeth. If your gums bleed when you start brushing your teeth and your gums for the first time, spit out and keep going. That's a real cruel to be kind thing. It seems as if it's counterproductive, but what you want to do is, your gums are bleeding because the plaque biofilm is lying against them and irritating bacteria, or irritating your gums, causing them to swell up and become inflamed. The only way you're going to stop that is by getting that plaque biofilm off. So you need to sort of go through a cruel to be kind phase. Spit out, keep going. Within a couple of weeks, you should see that steadily declining. So you should be able to clean all your teeth, so every surface of all your teeth, and clean interdentally clean in between your teeth, without actually causing any bleeding. But it can take a while to get there. If after 2 or 3 weeks and your best efforts your gums are still bleeding, you want to ask a dental professional why, because there may be something else there that is contributing to your continued bleeding of gums. So a toothbrush is your means to an end. Your toothbrush is the way to get that plaque biofilm off your teeth, every surface of all teeth. Now, if you want to try it, what about single tufted solo toothbrushing? Now again, look at how I'm holding that. I'm not holding it in a palm grasp, I'm holding it like a pen. And that gives you a lot more control over it. And what you're trying to do is actually clean around each gum line. So what you're trying to do is get in around every surface. And you know, I find it actually quite therapeutic to do solo toothbrushing, to use a single tufted brush my teeth. It's one of those really nice mindfulness exercises. So take a solo toothbrush and actually concentrate on what you're doing, that you're just feeling those bristles go in around your teeth. It's getting in around the crevice at the neck of your tooth. And you're cleaning every surface. And the inside, oh, those teeth are so good. So that's basically pretty much what I've got to say about a toothbrush. It's a tool to help you disrupt and remove that plaque biofilm, to clean your teeth and improve your oral health. Plaque biofilm is that sticky gel-like substance that gathers in your teeth. Take your fingernail, scrape it down your teeth. If you haven't brushed your teeth all day, you'll feel it underneath. That's what you're trying to remove with your toothbrush. The design, the power source is very personal. If you're using a manual toothbrush, you need to make the bristles move. If you are using a powered toothbrush, the power in the handle makes those bristles move. Those are the two big differences between them. No matter whether you're using this or you're using this, it is still going to take you time. The only difference is what makes the movement. Is it you making the bristles move, or is it the power making the bristles move? You still have to place it in the correct place. You still have to give it time to clean, and you still need to be really methodical to clean every surface of all teeth. You want to use a fluoride toothpaste on it. If you've got sensitivity, you want to use something with active ingredients for sensitivity, or a range of other things that, you know, may be appropriate for your oral health. What you want to do when you're finished, spit the toothpaste out. Then you want to rinse your toothbrush underneath the tap. Not your mouth. You do not rinse your mouth. Rinse your toothbrush underneath the tap. Nip the bristles together to keep its shape, and then store it upright, out of contact with other people's brushes. So, toothbrush, great tool, great means to an end. And if you use it correctly, if you use it effectively, you will actually remove 60 and 70% of the plaque biofilm from the tooth surfaces. So you're reaching all those smooth surfaces. Difficult places to reach are the outside of the upper molars. So close your mouth around it, get in around there. In behind these lower front teeth. Long narrow way. The inside of your dominant hand, so the inside of the teeth that you brush with, of the hand you brush with. So I'm right-handed. My most difficult place to clean is the inside of my lower right. Down in there. Okay, left-handed, it's going to be down in there. Sometimes it's quite nice to clean your teeth with your non-dominant hand because it takes more effort, and often you'll clean more effectively. The other thing you want to do is make sure you're overlapping as you go. So if you think, if you are cleaning the window, you go up and down, you don't want to miss any, you don't want to have a big long patch that you've missed, or cutting the lawn or whatever. You want to be able to make sure you're overlapping, that you're not missing anywhere. So again, when you're brushing, you're using this tool, you don't do it up there, and a bit up there, a bit down there, a bit there. You're going to miss somewhere. You want to be really methodical, work all the way around, the outside. Now, see when you get to here and you turn your toothbrush over, what many of us do is go straight to the back, and that means you've missed these teeth at the corner. And often dental professionals will ask you, are you right-handed or are you left-handed, depending on what teeth you're regularly missing. So when you come round to this corner, you want to turn your toothbrush over and make sure you start where you leave off, so you don't miss anywhere. Really important. All the way around the outside, all the way around the inside, all the biting surfaces. That's the top, do the bottom, all the way around the outside, all the way around the inside, all the biting surfaces. I often suggest to start the place that's most difficult. So as I say, if you're right-handed, the inside of the bottom right is going to be the most difficult, and it's actually where I tend to always start, particularly in the morning. And take your time, give the power of your toothbrush time to make those bristles work. Work a little bit harder with your manual toothbrush because your hand, your power is meant to make those bristles work. So there you go. That is me for this evening. Brush every surface for all teeth. Don't miss anywhere. Spit out afterwards. Don't rinse out. Let the toothpaste stay around your teeth. Get the maximum bang for your buck. Your toothbrush is the tool that you really don't want to be without. Of all the oral hygiene aids, and believe me, there are an awful lot of them out there. The one thing that's going to make the biggest difference to your oral health is your toothbrush. So look after it. Change it when the bristles spray out. When I let it like that, it ain't doing you any good. And actually look after it and use it properly. Because it's your oral health, and we know that your oral health is linked to so many other conditions, often inflammatory conditions in your body. Your mouth is the front door to the rest of your body, so it's in your best interest to look after it. I was just listening in the news there before I came up to do Talking Teeth that Prime Minister's talking about prevention as to one of the big underpinning mindsets to reform the NHS. Prevention is key, and something, toothbrushing is something we can all do for ourselves. 2 minutes twice a day is not a lot of time, so really important to maximise the benefits of toothbrushing thoroughly. You don't need anything fancy, you don't need anything that's going to cost you a fortune. What you do need to do is spend the time with that tool to get you around your mouth, get rid of all that plaque biofilm, and help improve your oral health. Because what you do with your toothbrush 365 days a year is going to be way more effective than what your dentist or hygienist or therapist, whatever your dental team does, every 3 months, 6 months, 4 months, whatever it is. So this is the tool that's going to get you, your mouth will feel fresher, your oral health will improve, and it has got lots of spin-off benefits for your overall health and well-being. So there you go. Look after yourself, look after each other, and until I see you next week, same time, same place, don't forget to brush your teeth before you go to bed tonight. Thanks for joining me. Bye, folks.